Hello, welcome back to Up the Villa. Welcome to your tactical debrief where I'll go in depth on Liverpool 2, Aston Villa 0. And I'm going to fine tune this tactical debrief. We're going to streamline into the major problems for me, the biggest issue, the most alarming areas of where we kind of failed in this game. So we're going to go straight in there. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And comment your thoughts on everything that I discuss in this episode. So Villa's tactical makeup and Villa's plan for me was to go long. Going long was what we wanted to do. We wanted to kind of sometimes set a bit of a trap, play out from the back, find those gaps, find that distance, be able to find Rodgers in these areas or in this little half space and be able to drive. He did it a couple of times. A couple of times we was able to play through Liverpool. We was able to do that. The biggest thing that we did try to do was to go long. And again, it worked a couple of times. Going long to Ollie Watkins on that left-hand side, trying to pin back Conor Bradley, get in behind Konate. That was Villa's game plan. And we can really see that Villa's game plan was to go long from pretty much every single Villa player's passing map. And when we're looking at every Villa player's passing map, you're going to start to notice some of our problems. And here we've got Emi Martinez, his pass map. Now, we all know the pass that he did make. Well, actually, he didn't make. He tried to make. But we can see that he's gone long here. And look at how many balls are going to that left-hand side. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6. So 6 passes have gone to that left-hand channel. And that's pretty much going to Ollie Watkins. So you're looking at 3 being successful and 3 unsuccessful to the left-hand side. And then you're looking at the others going down the middle and to that right-hand side. Now, the big thing about this is that the ball has got to stick. It's so important that this ball sticks. Now, to just add a little bit of context, I'm just going to now show you Aston Villa's average positions. And you can see that Ollie Watkins, his average position is on that left-hand side. That's where he did everything of his bulk of work against Liverpool was on that left-hand side. So Villa's tactic was to go long to Watkins on the left, pin those 2 players, and then the game should be able to unfold from a Villa point of view. Again, I'm going to show you now a number of players. So we've got Pau Torres, who has had a lot of passes, a lot of short, a lot going back to Konsa, long passes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 passes that were unsuccessful. Now, when we're looking at this Villa team and we're looking at unsuccessful passes, generally a lot of them are in and around the 90 mark, the 89, 87 mark per game. We've got Matty Cash, who's played a couple of long ones. We've got, there's Cash. We've got Digne, who's played a few. So you can start to see Onana, pass map. The long ones aren't really coming off, are they? We've got Konsa, who was just absolutely, I mean, he's exceptional with the ball, isn't he? So those are a lot of Villa's defenders kind of going long, kind of going short. But the general gist of it for me is that there was an over-reliance on going long to Watkins, and it just was coming back. Now, that was a main staple of the game for me. The amount of balls that Martinez kicked long, came back. And I just think sometimes you've got to have that little bit of being able to have a bit more variation within your game. And look, I know Liverpool are a very good team and they pressed us well. But we can play through Liverpool. We've played through so many good teams. And I think the thing that really sort of frustrated me was the sense of an underlying feeling of the players kind of knowing that we were going to lose, which I didn't really like. So I think I really wanted to highlight the fact that we went long a lot and it wasn't really working. And I want to go back to the average positions now, and I want to look at some of sort of like mainly focus on Watkins really, because it's not my style to absolutely hammer players. Like I don't hammer them. I just try and give constructive criticism. But I look at this game from Watkins against Liverpool, and I can see the plan. We can all see what the plan was, right? I've showed you the passes. I've showed you where Watkins is positioned. We know that he's trying to go in behind Kanate, in behind Connor Bradley. But I just feel like we've got to sometimes. I would just like to see him kind of do something that he's not been told to do. In that sense, sometimes go and drift, go and drop deeper, go and take a touch, come and try and have a little touch off a midfielder. It feels very separated, if that makes sense. I think when I look at the team and I look at some of the players that get on the ball, and sometimes I look at Onana getting on it, or even Rodgers when he's having to drive, and I'm just like, where is everyone? Where's the pass? Why are we so far apart from each other? Because I think sometimes, yeah, if he gets it, and we know what Watkins' game is, he runs off players. But sometimes I'd like to see a bit of partnership, like a little give and go. Give me the, I'll give it you back. I'd love to see that, but we just don't see it. So we end up being quite separated. We need more runners. We need be that little bit braver. So that's just one observation that I've got. And, you look at it and you go, he's not touched the ball in the 18-yard box. Have Liverpool probably kept him quite comfortable there? Possibly, yes. So I think that's probably my biggest observation from the game, is that we went long and it didn't really work. We didn't vary enough. Why can't we say first half we're going to try and get it and pin Watkins? Second half, let's try and go longer to the opposite side and try and pin Guess on there, or something similar to those situations. So I think variation was probably one of the biggest things. And I think now when we're looking at some of the midfielders and some of their passes, I think a couple of them weren't involved enough. I didn't see them enough. I didn't see their best attributes. I didn't see McGinn. I didn't see him ratting around that midfield free enough. I didn't see him bullying Gravenberch or Szoboszlai. I felt like that was probably a bit of an issue. So when we're looking at all of the problems, I think it's a collective for me. So there's McGinn. We've got Morgan Rodgers, who was Villa's best player, but he lost the ball like 16 times. Previously, in his last 2 games, he was losing it like 8 times, which is back to his best, really. But now we're back to like 16, and he was Villa's best player. And he was Villa's best player because he was the one that was driving forward. And we probably needed a couple more that played to his level, really. But I still don't think he was absolutely amazing. He played really well. He was good. He hit the post, etc., driving forward. So he was okay. And then Gesson, guys. Gesson had 12 touches and lost it 8 times. It was a bad game from Gesson. It was a very bad game from Gesson. And it was a game that, he came on against Man City and he really helped us see the game out. Defensively, he's been pretty good for Aston Villa this season, helping Matty Cash out. But I think we now need to start to see a lot more on the ball. I need to see him getting the ball a lot more. I need to see him passing it a lot more. I need to see him driving at the opposition a lot more. He drove at the opposition once, and it felt like he was running down a blind alley. And that's very, very frustrating. Now, there was a couple that time he was driving. I will say something that kind of what I've mentioned at the start of this episode, that there was no one around him to pass to. That there was no one around him. But I actually feel like he should know that. He should know that when he's getting into those attacking areas, that he's got to be more ruthless and more clinical and attack the opposition. Because I kind of feel like you're on the Villa have got a winger problem. We got no wingers. But ask yourself what is Gesson? When I was doing a bit of a scouting analysis of him at Nice, he played in a narrow three. He could play as a striker and he could play as an inverted winger on the left and right. And he's playing as an inverted winger on the right-hand side for Aston Villa. So has there got to be an adaptation to the Premier League? Possibly. 10 games in. Is it too early to judge him? I think he has got to adapt, and some players can develop a little bit slower than others, but he's playing games for Villa. Unai's give him massive amounts of confidence to be playing games for Aston Villa. He has said to him, "You're playing games for me." And he's got to start delivering, because this is where I look at things and go, you've touched the ball 12 times and lost it 8 times. Are you telling me that Harvey Elliott, in this universe, Harvey Elliott, cannot do what he can do? Or Marlon's on the bench? I just find that element of it a bit strange. That's what I find strange. But he had a bad game. He had a bad game. But I don't think this season we can sort of hammer him to a point where it just becomes a hammering every week. And because we're going to need him, mate, no two ways about it. We are going to need Gesson this season, because we don't have anyone else on the right. We cannot. Marlon is not a wide right player. He's an up the top player. I've spoke to Michael, a Dutch football expert, and he says that his best position is in a 2, what we saw at Burnley, at home to Burnley. That is Marlon. That he attacks that area. So he won't do he won't do the defensive side of the game. And that is so important. We've seen from Gesson, who's had standout games defensively, who has been helping out the team, etc. That element to it is important. So for me, I think we've got to stick with him, because we're going to need him. So, but we also need to get Donyell Marlon in this team somewhere, and because he's a massive threat. You saw that towards the end of the game, he had his shots, etc. So I don't know what the solution is, but I just know for a fact he's not playing him on the right, because he hasn't played on the right all Emery. Do you know what I mean? I know as football fans, we can look at it and we can go, he can play on the right, put him on the right. Maybe he can, but Emery won't do it. That's the thing. Emery is not going to play Donyell Marlon on the right. When's the last time he played him on the right? I can't even remember. So I think that's where I'm at with that situation. So it's frustrating. He's got to get better. And that's collectively where I think the problem was. We went long. We kept losing it. It kept coming back. And they were able to get ahead of steam, to be confident, to knock it round us. And when we did get into good areas, we'd just lose it. How many times did we just kick it out of play, lose the ball? So it was more of like, for me, like a real cohesion thing that just didn't knit together nicely enough. So I think that's probably tactically where I was at with it, really. This is Liverpool's passing network. You can see, I mean, to be honest, you can actually see the area. That's the area that we were pinning. All those balls, all those long balls were going into that area. And that was the area. But again, what does it take in this situation? Well, it takes the striker to hold it up here, and it takes players in here to be able to run off and go into those areas. But we just didn't have it. So, kind of tactically, you can see what the plan was. Go longer over this and isolate this. So that made sense. But I think the execution just wasn't quite there. And then here we can see Villa's passing network, and again you can see what did we try to do? We tried to pin that area through there, but connections, there's no connection there. There's no partnership, and this is what I spoke about on the match reaction. There's no network between Rodgers and Watkins. How can Rodgers and Watkins not have a passing network? When we're talking about this passing network, it's 5 passes, 5 successful passes to each other. Big problem, alarming problem that there's no network with your striker. And if anyone missed the match reaction, what I was speaking about is look at last season and Buemo and Wisa strike partnership. Watkins and Rodgers is not a partnership. That is a problem for me. Then the other problem is Gesson. Now, he hasn't got a network with anyone. So that's bad. That's bad because there's no threat. There's no build up through Gesson. And there needs to be a build. Look at he's quite central there. He's playing as an inside forward, starting on the right, coming inside. So touch, lay off, grow into a game, take your touch, little pop off. Oh, I feel all right there. I feel that was a nice touch. Do another one, little lay off to make your cash. Boom, send me. Where can I find more? Grow. Sometimes just grow into it. Big stadium, but embrace the trust. That's what I'd always say. If you are not confident as a player, just do some easy things first. Do what Rodgers was doing a couple of games ago. He was just playing it safe. How many games? There was about 2 games where he just played everything safe. So it is a problem, but it's a problem that nobody has got any network to Gesson. That is a bit of a problem as well, because what you're basically doing is if you're saying when you're analysing this, isolated, not touching the ball much, giving the ball away, being dispossessed, and kind of like you can see here that's the most connective part of your team. You kind of want it to be maybe around there, because if it's around there, you're further up the pitch a little bit more. So I think fundamentally that has kind of been our problem, really. So tough one to sort of analyze, but you gotta face up and face the music. We can't just keep coming on when we're winning. We gotta make sure we're looking at how the game's panned out a little bit. I even look at this. I look at this and I think this network, this momentum bar here. Okay, we're 2-0 down. Look at that little sustained pressure that we got at the end of the game. If we'd have scored in that, we are banging that game. But it felt very lack of conviction. We were trying, but it felt it I didn't feel it. So we'll just have a look at some of the numbers, because I think it is important that actually when I say stuff, I show you, because not that I'll lie, but you know, you got to be able to see it, haven't you? So he had 12 touches and he lost the ball 8 times. No dribble success, no tackles won, no ground duels won, 1 out of 1 aerials. So that was from Gesson. Watkins touched it 18 times and he lost it 4 times. So like 14 actions he had during the game. And I kind of just wanted to highlight another player. So Strand Larson for Wolves, you know, in a team that are absolutely useless. But I just want to show you a little bit of his heat map. And you see his heat map. And yeah, different team, different tactics, being told to do something different, but just a bit more aware leading the line, touches in the 18-yard box, where he wants to go, sourcing the ball a little bit more. I actually feel like Watkins needs to do that a little bit more, to be honest. Go and drop and find it a little bit, or even sort of talk to Emery about it, because the pattern that I just keep seeing is that he's just following what the manager said. So I think that's pretty much everything from my point of view on this episode. I think I've highlighted some all right things, to be honest. But you guys let me know your thoughts. I've brought a lot to the table, so you guys can discuss it in the comment section. So cheers everyone for watching. Subscribe to the channel, smash the likes, and comment your thoughts. Up the Villa.